I've been playing through this game for 24.1 hours. I'm at the part where you discover the first ancient magic trial, and I'm eager to get back to the game, but there's just been a few things on my mind that I wanted to express. This video will be divided into two parts. Part 1 is the controversy surrounding this game, and part 2 is more about the game itself. Actually, let's move to part 2 first. The miscellaneous quirks of Hogwarts Legacy. Not all I'll say is going to be bad things. In fact, most of these things are just wishes or recommendations or observations. Hogwarts Legacy sounds too much like Hogwarts Mystery, and I keep confusing the names of those two.
Don't forget the nice wrist movement we've been practicing.
My whole first day of this game felt like a tutorial level. It's hard to say when exactly the game, air quotes, starts, but for me it had to be somewhere around an 8-ish hour of the game, and I'm already dwelling on having to replay it sometime.
It looks to me as though it's merely a parchment designed to insult anyone who tries to read it.
Just go ahead and disable all of this bullshit. You will have a better experience without it. Only option you need is standard notifications, XP, and maybe mount controls. It should have been a default really, and I love the solution they had for waypoints. You just press a button and a book shows you a trail, and I love how it goes. You don't need a minimap and tracking icons on top of that, but I guess it's a good thing that the option is still there. You need standard notifications in order to see what's inside the chests. Sometimes it's gold, sometimes it's gear, but other times they are just empty. I wasn't sure if it was some other type of notifications that I had turned off, but after researching, it appears that it's just a bug.
There's no such thing as magic.
Apart from the chest thing, I have not encountered a lot of bugs, but sudden frame drops are horrendous, and I really hope they'll be able to fix that with updates. Ever since I played Peter Jackson's King Kong, the official game of the movie, I felt that crosshairs in most single-player shooters are better to be turned off, and I seek to turn it off whenever there is a way to do it. However, you cannot deny that having it is beneficial for accuracy. But Hogwarts Legacy isn't a first-person shooter. Hogwarts Legacy doesn't need Reticle at all actually, let alone such a giant one. There should have been an option to turn it off in a HUD menu as well, but there isn't one, and I'm glad to inform that there is a mod that allows you to get rid of it, or at least make it smaller, and I highly recommend it.
You will be the Supreme Enlightened, the Illuminated One.
What doesn't exist as of now, however, is an ability to turn off white glow that appears around objects and enemies when you aim at them. I understand why it wouldn't be in a HUD settings, because unlike a stupid Reticle, it actually is beneficial to understand who will you hit during combat. But I'm just sick and tired of every AAA game putting this shit in their games. Imagine being an animator for hit impact reactions on NPCs and some fucko puts a white outline glow effect on your work. If there is a modder listening to this, I beg you to poke around and try to find a way to allow me and people alike to dispose of this.
It is my job to arm you against the foulest creatures known to wizard kind.
While we are on the topic of mods, I also highly recommend to play around with instant spell switching mod. I do say to play around with it, as it might not be your cup of tea, but it allows you to never switch spell sets and have almost all of them tied to a separate button. My personal setting is different from the one mod author uses. I found that the best way to bind it is 1, 2, 3, 4 for the first row, 5, 6, 7, 8 for the second row. 6, 7 and 8 being hard to reach are good for rare use spells like Reparo, Lumos and Wingardium Leviosa. Then I rebinded the Revelio spell and it allowed me to make a third row being ERTY, and fourth row are my offensive spells. They are tied to F1, F2, F3, F4. As I said, it might require some playing around to reach your Zen. What makes me sad is that there is only 4 spell sets. If there were more than that, then with the keyboard and this mod, each spell could have been tied to a separate button. Maybe in the future someone will mod a 5th and 6th row, but it seems unlikely.
Hold down the mouse button and repeat the pattern
I love how learning of new spells seems to be a nod to how it was done in early games, but I wish it was harder, with more buttons to press or more engaging in some other way. If all I need to do is press buttons in time, then at least show me some funny Japanese mafia men singing, you know?
There will be no foolish wand-waving.
Spellcasting in the game is hands down the best Harry Potter games ever had. Order of the Phoenix and Half-Blood Prince get points for having you memorize the spells and wiggle your mouse like a wand accordingly. It was cool but too slow, while point and auto-select spell from earlier games would be too simple. However, when it comes to spell slots, some things seem confusing to me. I'm glad they did not went with a wheel tool for spells like in LEGO Harry Potter, as it seems like the obvious solution, but then it would slow the game down mid-combat like in Spider-Man. But players should have had 2 spell sets starting on, because it's annoying to go in the menu and rearrange them from time to time just because you wanted to use Lumos or go invisible. And it's also weird that Lumos is a separate spell, while Revelio is not.
I don't need much, just 5 hots, and a cot, and a queen-sized lazy bread bed, and a flat-screen ITV, and a Wi-Fi hotspot.
Since Conjuring Spells can only be used in a room of requirements, I think having them to take space in your spell menu is useless. They should have just auto-equip when you enter a room of requirements and unequip when you leave. Instead, it seems player is forced to rearrange spells to those ones every time he wants to change something in a room of requirements, which is annoying.
A hammer can fix anything, right?
This statue is annoyed with his neighbor, so it destroys it. And it's quite funny. But I, same as many I assume, saw it as an opportunity of a comedic gold moment, where after this statue spent so much time and energy to destroy another one, I will just cast Reparo and watch his reaction.
Reparo!
Sadly, my disappointment was immeasurable, and my day was ruined. In a similar way, there is a Confingo training room with a bunch of stacked barrels for you to destroy, but you cannot repair them back afterwards and destroy again. Asking for every destructible object to be repairable is obviously a bit too far, but I still feel like this spell could have gotten more uses. On the topic of annoyance, I get shit for dwelling on controls too much in my Spider-Man web spinning video, but I have a philosophical disagreement about putting walking on C. It should have been Alt.
The happiest man on earth would look into the mirror and see only himself, exactly as he is.
Mirrors don't work like that, but it's an interesting interpretation, and yeah, we understand why it had to be done. It's just a shame that even on highest RTX setting, the reflections don't look good.
I'm going to bed.
Okay, 3 points here. First of all, you cannot sleep on your bed in your common room, which subtracts from the immersion. Second, not only you don't sleep on your bed in Hogwarts, no one does. Exploring castle at night with Lumos is very atmospheric, but guess what happened when I went to blast some light in the faces of my fellow sleeping classmates? They aren't there. And third, I think the only time Protagonist can sleep is when you use the wait feature on map, which leads to me role-playing as a fucking psychopath who sleeps at... who begs for money, who sleeps only at professors' classrooms.
Do you wanna know why I use pies?
Okay, so you are a 15-year-old who recently discovered magic exists, and on your first day of magic school you witnessed a man getting eaten by a dragon. Your reaction? It only makes things funnier when you'll see this evil dialogue options showing up seemingly out of nowhere. I had intention to play as a scientifically minded Ravenclaw, but now I'm just playing as Dexter Morgan. This game is like a reskin of Witcher 3. At least we don't need to wait 7 years for developers to fix ridiculous fall damage, because here you can jump off high places and not die. For me the issue is in the invisible walls, where you cannot jump over Professor's staircase, but can do this? I don't like invisible walls at all. If there is a ledge, just let me jump from it and die. It made me laugh more times in Uncharted than I care to admit.
It's a long drive.
Take this dress, how to take your shirt, take these boots, take these clothes.
Gear slots are just useless. I thought they meant something and even destroyed a couple of items because I didn't have space for new ones. I found some cool outfits that I didn't want to sell and I was looking for a way to upgrade my inventory capacity. I began to stress out because it got to the point where I did not want to complete any quests or explore any of Hogwarts because I didn't have place to store what I find. Then I completed some challenge, claimed the reward, but it did not appear in my inventory. Turns out there is an appearance menu that stores everything you ever found and you can just apply it to any gear you're wearing. So if you can look however you want, then why wouldn't you just sell everything you find, thereby making gear slot capacity upgrades completely useless? This is the first time in a video game for me where I don't want to buy upgrades because I want to have fun. I'm playing on hard and the combat is fun but not often challenging. When it is challenging though, it's very fun. So when I see an upgrade that allows me to affect 3 people instead of 1 with a single spell, which is most of these upgrades, I don't know if I can trust the game to become more difficult. I don't think it will. I think I'll just become overpowered. And while it works in, say, Shadow of War, where you're constantly fighting like 30 orcs, here, with combat opportunities already being quite rare, I don't wanna buy this. And other upgrades increase the rate your ancient magic filter fills out. That's a one-click kill finisher button, and you already have 2 finishers by default. How overpowered can you become in this game? Potion upgrades are funny though. I think potions being overpowered, it kind of plays to the fantasy a little bit better.
Let the brewing commence.
Sadly, the funny minigame from Half-Blood Prince is gone. Instead, you have to wait for such small amounts of time that it makes you question why do you need to wait at all. Perhaps because it's funny to run from table to table when you have 7 potion making stations in one room. Honestly, I think the potion making fantasies and how to fulfill them in video games is a very complicated problem, so much that all 3 Witcher games that are based around the character famous for his use of potions couldn't quite figure it out, and I think Hogwarts Legacy haven't quite figured it out either. I have like 60 potions right now. But I don't know, maybe I need to play a little bit more.
Hello, potion seller.
Why it doesn't show me how much ingredients I already have in possession when I try to buy some new ones?
2 + 2 is 4, -1, that's 3, quick maths.
I think the arithmancy puzzle is good, actually. Yeah, it's simple calculus, but what makes it good is not the puzzle itself, is that no one tells you the solution until you yourself accidentally stumble upon it in one of the rooms, and then you yourself can figure out that you don't need to look in the menu and constantly check the note. And then there isn't a lot of those doors, so it's over before it becomes an annoyance. Honestly, good job. For me, the more secret rooms with chests there are in Hogwarts, the better. I just wish there was a lot more besides those puzzle doors. There's no beans in this game? Can you imagine? Weasley brothers will probably kill you. And then kill you again.
Diagonally.
Just canonically, Floo stations are stationary. So you need to first get to the Floo station and then teleport to another Floo station. I don't like how you can just fast travel from the map menu whenever you want. I think it detracts from the immersion, especially when you're traveling outside of Hogwarts, because it devalues your broom. But what I find counterintuitive is how Floo flame stations cannot be interacted with. I constantly expect to be able to press interaction button on the Floo flame and the game will open a map for me so that I can teleport. But no, what happens instead is I'll think to myself, oh, okay, I need to go to X, run around searching for Floo flame, find one, get surprised when pressing F doesn't do anything, and then be like, oh, why did they do it like that?
What are you up to now?
Shut the fuck up! Jesus Christ, thanks God there is a mod that makes her shut up! But I find it to be not lore friendly, or rather not developer's intention friendly.
How nice to see you, my young friend.
For real, every time you walk past her, she should have just rolled like a 1 in 5 chance of saying something, instead of her talking to you every single time you so much as look at her general direction. You know what, since we returned to the topic of mods, let's go back to the part 1 to cover 2 things around the game and then return back to the game itself. Now, if you're still watching this video, then I know for a fact that you are a certified gamer. And one thing that is known about certified gamers is that they are also certified Shrek enjoyers. So I'm sure when Sirona started speaking, you thought to yourself, ah, that's a reference to Doris, the bartender in Shrek 2. Nice. But there were some who interpreted that differently. Someone made a mod that replaces Sirona's voice with a female one, or just like a high-pitched one. And Nexus moderation team thought it was transphobic person making a transphobic mod. So they keep fighting this person, banning his mod every day, again and again. And he keeps re-uploading it from different accounts every day, again and again, claiming that it is Nexus mod's moderation team who is transphobic. Because the creator of the mod is helping Sirona undergo her transition. And there is a bunch of people in the comments who are saying basically the same thing. I love this. You fool! You were the transphobia all along! Pulls out fucking reverse card.
The stories we love best do live in us forever, so whether you come back by page or by the big screen, Hogwarts will always be there to welcome you home.
It seems that there was a controversy surrounding this game that boils down to how people shouldn't buy it, because royalties from it go to a person with whom they disagree with. This is an argument that is very close to my heart. Recently, Harenko made a video about why you shouldn't buy Atomic Hearts, because that way you are financially supporting war. I mean, I think the video was about that. I haven't watched it, I just read the comments. Insert Linus picture here. And I might be actually horribly wrong about this, but as far as I'm personally aware, J.K. Rowling is not sponsoring Dark Brotherhood that murders transgender people. And as far as Harry Potter goes, this is, in my opinion, one of the best fictional universes created. I love the movies. My favorite fictional book ever is a Harry Potter fanfiction. I haven't read the originals, but I still think that J.K. Rowling deserves all the royalties she's getting from her work on it. And one does not need to agree with every opinion of a certain author to admit that they deserve a reward for their work. Okay, now back to the good part.
From now on you may practice flying at any time.
Why can't you look up and down while flying on a broomstick? That's it, thank you for watching. I'll go back to playing now. Bye bye.